Last year, she became the youngest Indian actress to address UN as UNDP Youth Champion. And this year, she again made history by becoming board advisors. Right?
Yes.
Welcome to TV Sanjana.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I say that you're going places?
I'm literally geographically going places. Yes, and but also otherwise I think in the scope of the work that I've been doing. Yeah, and this year was very special because many new firsts. So, yeah, excited to talk to you about that.
Okay, so tell me what is the new role now? And I know that you are with global icons like John Legend and actress Lexi Underwood. You are a part of that advisors work. So tell me more about it. What is this all about, and what are you doing this time?
So it's still very much within the scope of my work in advocacy for youth-led development. I was invited as a board of advisor on the Millennium Campus Networks board, and John Legend is one of the advisors. And really, the idea is to inspire young leaders all over the world and give them the platform and accelerate their goals and ambitions. And I think they say that the reason for picking me was that over this last decade of me doing humanitarian work, they felt that I've been able to showcase some milestone moments of how we can take the circumstances that we are born into and how we can make them more impactful in our small little ways. So I'm getting to work with the best, learn from the best, and hopefully do lots more in the years to come.
So, when you meet people from all over the world, who are talking about such issues, what is that main issue that you are focusing on right now? And is it country based? Like in our
Right.
country, what is the issue?
So my agenda and my issue is becoming, I think, more and more focused over the years. It's always been education for young people. And now I think that's just broadened to ensuring that young people have a seat on the tables of change. Even in my UNGA speech last year, I mentioned that young people want to be the architects of their own future. We don't want to just inherit the decisions that are made by someone else. And that really is the focus, that how can we make sure young people are heard and seen, that they are involved in decision making. And I, of course, being from India, I'm always representing India. And I think the Indian youth demographic cannot be ignored. For any change to happen anywhere in the world, whether it's in entertainment, in culture, in policy, it can't happen without young Indians. So we better be at the forefront of those decisions.
And I read somewhere the other day that India has so much youth,
Yeah.
and it's growing so fast.
Absolutely.
Tell me one thing, like every generation has something to complain about the younger generation.
Yeah.
What do you think then? Everybody talks about Gen Z. What do you think about them, and what their goals are so different from millennials that
Yeah.
we are? Tell me, what do you think about them when it comes to profession as well as their personal life, how they are dealing with?
Yeah, that's been a part of my groundwork, has actually led me to interacting with so many Gen Zs when I run my programs on ground, go to college campuses, and I am kind of a zillennial because I'm a 96 kid, so I'm on the border. And I know a lot is said about Gen Zs asking for their own rights and demanding equality and the very basics that should be a given. But what I've also realized is that they're a generation dealing with a certain anxiety that I don't think generations before them have had to. Because the climate crisis is going to affect them and their children in a way that it hasn't affected us or our children. They're worried about what the future of jobs will look like with AI coming in and traditional job roles not even being relevant anymore. So they have to develop new skill sets. They grew up and went to college in a pandemic. None of us have experienced that. So I think they're a far more resilient generation than we give them credit for. And one other thing I did this year was become the first Indian to work with the World Bank, and I got to go to Washington, D.C. for the annual meetings, bringing in my perspective on youth and job creation. And I learned there that the kind of education they need and the kind of jobs that they're occupying, you and I can't even do. So they're actually a specially skilled generation too. So I think they're really the future. they're dealing with a lot, and so generations before them need to support them in more ways than I think you and I needed growing up.
And another very important thing that we never even used the word mental health when we were growing up, but now the new generation, just not mental health, there's so many different kind of lingos that's used.
Yeah.
Depression is something that we do not use very lightly anymore like we used to. People are taking mental health seriously. So what do you have to tell us about youth and their mental health and how they're dealing with it? Are they dealing it better, or is it getting worse because the number of suicides that we see, social media pressure that they are going through, we never faced through any of that. What do you have to say about that?
I mean, statistics literally suggest that the number of, youths that are experiencing depression or even mild anxiety is higher than ever before. And they're not scared to express that. But at the same time, I think for them to find the support to deal with those issues is still less, it is still stigmatized. And that's why even at the UNDP, we run many mental health awareness programs to let the youth know that A, it's normal, B, they shouldn't shy away from sharing it, and C, all of us are going to deal with some mental health issue and challenge at some point in our lives, and we just have to best learn how to cope with it. For them, I think the big difference is that it's the climate crisis that's creating a subconscious anxiety within them. You don't know whether your house next to the sea will even exist 5 years later. Mountains are crumbling, and literal livelihoods and villages and towns are getting washed away. So that kind of existential fear within them is something that even therapists I learn are figuring out how to cope with. So climate therapy has become a new vertical within mental health therapy at large, because so many issues are arising from there. And that's one of the things that nobody can do anything about. So, in a way, it unites everyone. When you have a single problem that everyone is fighting together, like in the pandemic, we all came together in a sense, even though we were isolated. I see that happening now with the Gen Z as well. But they're up against a seriously difficult uphill task. But I think they're managing it in a way that they best can, and they're being supported by amazing foundations and organizations. Yeah.
And when we have someone like you going and talking and supporting them, it really means a lot.
I hope so.
Yes,
And I can feel that, that's why, as primarily as an actor, right, I think where all of this work for me really stems from, and that's a question that comes up so often, is that as artists, I think we're given this incredible gift of a platform and a voice. And even just our films, they don't just travel, they permeate into a psyche. And I experienced that with Dhak Dhak. I experienced that with Kizzy Basu in Dil Bechara, where seeing Kizzy, who was going through so much and dealt with so much at a young age, has given so many young girls that courage to love again, to live again, and live fearlessly. And Dhak Dhak did that too for women empowerment. So my real goal is that how can we create impact storytelling, where we're leveraging entertaining, glossy looking films and shows, but driving subliminal social impact messages. And I'm working with a few people in New York and LA to figure out how I can be involved both as an actor but also on the development side. And I think that's ultimately my goal, my larger goal.
that's amazing. And thank you so much for talking to us. But before I leave, what's happening with the sequel of Dhak Dhak?
It is, well, I think the big update from the last time we met was that a beautiful story has been written of the sequel. Scripting is such an important part, and it's something we've all said yes to. And because the shoot is across the world, this time the ride is going international. It's a little bit of a, production task to set that up. But we're all set with writing. All the yeses are in place, and I can't wait to kind of actually get on floors.
I love Dhak Dhak and I can't wait to watch the second part. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Veera. Thank you.